authors, welcome to Author Nation. I am Melody Ann, your host. And if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, go do that now because we do live weekly interviews with amazing authors and writers and writing and publishing experts. So there's lots to learn. So go subscribe now. And today we're going to be talking about writing your fabulous first book and writing with clarity, confidence, and connection, because my guest, Andrea Susan Glass, is an award-winning ghostwriter and book coach for first-time nonfiction authors. She is also a long-time instructor at the University of California, teaching classes in creative writing and copy editing certificate programs. She's the best-selling author of the book we're talking about today, your fabulous first book, How to Write with Clarity, Confidence, and Connection, and my fabulous first book, Workbook, a workbook companion to your fabulous first book. Please welcome Andrea. Hi, Andrea. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I've never done live stream.
This is very exciting. What a treat. We've been doing it since August and we love it. And this book is actually a culmination of years of experience, right? Because you teach at university, you are a ghostwriter, you have all of this experience. So can you just kind of bring us up to speed on, how long you've been in the industry, the different roles you've played, and how that brought you to the book?
How long do we have?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, I've been writing my whole life, but I was never serious about it in terms of a career. But I always knew that I wanted to write, and I would get little things published here and there. And it was around 1990, I self-published a book when Amazon wasn't around. And I found that if I didn't know how to sell it, I couldn't really do much with it. So I gave a lot of books away. And then I kept writing and thinking, oh, maybe I can sell it to a publisher, but that didn't work out. Finally, I said, what if I wrote books for other people and I got paid up front? I didn't have to worry about selling my own books. So I put out a notice, and the first client I got, I think, was year 2000 or 2001, and I wrote a book that won an award for the best how-to book in San Diego. So I said, okay, I know how to write a book. And it was the first full-length book I ever wrote. It was about 300 pages. And since then, I started writing books for other people. And I would also write resumes and blog posts and articles and that sort of thing. And I found that I was taking a lot of time with writing those. And I started thinking about doing copy editing. So I took a class in that. And I figured I could serve authors with both ghostwriting and copy editing. So both of those started to expand, and I started doing more copy editing. And then I thought, I'm also acting like a coach, sort of like a therapist, helping people through the process. So I added book coaching to my repertoire of services. So it's probably started about 2000. So I'd say 21 years I've been doing ghostwriting, copy editing, and book coaching. And I've been teaching for the University of California for about 15 years. In addition to classes I've taught live and online throughout those years. So I kind of consider myself a teacher and a writer. And what I do combines both of them really seamlessly.
Yeah. I love what you say about the book coach as therapist. I agree. That is so true. But it's actually, it's a wonderful role because people trust you. And I, like me, like you, I'm guessing we both consider that quite an honor to have people, trust us with that vulnerability. What's your favorite role? Do you love to teach? Do you love to write? Or do you love to coach? Yeah, I know you love them all, but what is your, what do you, when you get up in the morning, it's like, oh, I'm doing this today. What is that?
No, I'm not doing it as often as I'd like, but I love to write. I am an artist at heart. I've dabbled in music, art. Right now I do various forms of art, mosaics and beading, and I've done crocheting and stained glass, all kinds of things. But I've written all my life. I've spent many years writing poetry and music, songs. So anytime I can write, even if I'm writing copy for my book marketing, writing a blog for my website, and I write blogs for some of my writers' organizations, I know I love to write. And when I have to put that on the back burner to make a living, you know, um,
Mhm.
doing the book coaching, which I love too, or doing copy editing, the creativity that I enjoy from writing is not always there. However, every new project I get, what's really fun about doing book coaching and copy editing is that I learn a lot from each book that I work on, and I learn a lot from each author, because every time I work with an author and I help them through their challenges, it makes me a better coach for the next client who may have similar challenges or different ones. The underlying challenge is usually fear. First time
Mhm.
authors are afraid of their writing not being good enough, the book not being appropriate, them not knowing how to market the book. Most of the challenges that come up are is an
Yeah.
underlying fear there. So I get to be a better coach each time I work with an author. But truthfully, my heart is in writing, but anything I could do in the writing community is really rewarding.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That whole, I think anyone watching will relate to the idea of, you know, the part of like making a living versus doing that, that essential soul work of, creating your own thing, creating your own book, right? So all your years of experience, how did the book, your first fabulous book, come into being?
Your fabulous first book. I know it's a tongue twister.
Did I say it backwards?
Yeah, you did, but
Oh,
that's
I'm
okay.
sorry. Yeah, your fabulous first book. Pardon me.
Oh, that's okay. I have to tell you, this is a challenge that a lot of people face. What should I write about? And truthfully, I got the bug to write my own book about 3 years ago because, I was ghostwriting and it was like up to here with the ghostwriting. When am I going to write my own book? But I didn't know what to write about. If you look in your own genre, whatever you're writing about, there's competition out there. And there are a lot of books about how to write a book, and there are a lot of teachers who have more experience than me. So I was stuck. I wanted to write a book. So what I would do, I would brainstorm titles, and I would look at other titles, and I would say, what can I do that's different? What can I do that's unique? And then I would put it away for a while. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I would bring it up again. And then one of the people who I was studying with suggested running a survey. And the truth is that if you survey who you think your intended audience is for your book, and the truth is a lot of people write a book and don't know who their audience is. But if you do have a specific audience in mind and you survey them and you find out where there's a hole in the market, what information they need that maybe isn't being supplied or isn't being supplied enough, or you have a unique way of supplying it, then you could write a book to fill that niche. If you're looking for the ideal subject, some people just plow right in and say, I want to write about this, and that's it, and they don't know if there's an audience or if there are other books like that. But I was stuck because I wanted to write a book that would help me stand out from the tons of books and that would serve a market. So after I ran my surveys, I found that people had a lot of trouble knowing how to start a book. They didn't know the process. They didn't know what was involved. And even like myself, years ago, when I would go into a bookstore and see all these books, oh my gosh, how do you write a book? It looks
Yeah.
like such a big job, 300 pages, and yet all these people wrote a book. How am I going to write a book? So
Yeah.
I understand the trepidation that a lot of first time authors have, is that this is a big process, and I don't know if I can handle it. And then again, other questions came up. How do I find out if this is the right subject? How do I find out who to write for? And how the heck am I going to market it? Because most writers are not marketers. So when I took all of that information together and I did some brainstorming with myself, I came up with Your Fabulous First Book, because I knew I wanted to work with first time authors, which I mostly did. And I knew I wanted to focus in nonfiction because that's what I write, even though I read fiction, but I don't think I could ever write fiction. It's just not my thing. So I chose that as my niche market, first time nonfiction authors. And then I knew that they needed the clarity, the confidence, and the connection. Confidence was a really big point, because that lack of confidence is what causes the fear that most first time authors have. And the clarity is a way to start off saying, Why do I want to write a book? Let's get clear about that. Every client I've had who did not finish their book did not have a strong enough reason to write the book. If your why is strong enough, like I want to save the world, I have this great information, or I want to transform people, or I want to share this information before I pass away. If your why is strong enough, you will finish the book. So the clarity part was important, the confidence part, and then the connection is another important piece, how to connect with your reader. And that's how I came to write your fabulous first book, How to Write with Clarity, Confidence, and Connection, because I surveyed my audience and I saw where there was a need in the market.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent answer. And that's right there is really, really good advice. If you want to write a book and you're not sure, it's start talking to the people you want to read the book and figure out what they want. So tell me a little bit about, I want to dig into each area, but tell me a little bit about how the book is structured.
Well, I have the 3 sections on clarity, confidence, and connection. And each one has, the first section is 5, the next is 3, and the next is 3. So there's 11 steps. And at the beginning and the end of the book, you have a checklist where you can check off each area as you go through it. Because I think that the order I have it in makes sense for the progression of the book. And I just want to tell listeners that this is not a book on how to write a book. This is a book on how to prepare yourself to write a book. Because if you're not prepared up front, you're going to get stopped with writer's block, the fears, the challenges. I created something called the codes: challenges, obstacles, distractions, and excuses, CODE. One of those is going to take you down if you don't deal with them up front. So my book is a preparation to write your fabulous first book, because you're going to deal with everything up front. So in clarity, you've got the clarity for the author. I call it the author aspiration, why you're writing the book. You've got the clarity for who your reader is, who is going to read your book. You want clarity on why they're going to buy your book. Why would they buy your book among other books on the same subject? Then you've got the smart subject, choosing the right subject to meet your reason for writing it and the reader's reason for writing it. That subject really needs to be niched for those 2 reasons. You can't be too broad. You really need to be niched these days. We all want to be considered a specialist in our field. And if we're too general, we're not going to attract the right people to us. And the last part of clarity is what I call overall objective. Why are you writing this book in the big picture? Where are you going with this? Is this the one and done? You'll never write another book? If so, that's going to tell you to put all of your content in there. But if you see this as maybe 3 books, 3-book process, then you know that you're only going to put a certain amount of material in there. Let's say I decided to write 3 separate books, one on clarity, one on confidence, and one on connection. By looking at my overall objective, I would have a sense of what content to put in this book and end it there. Nowadays, books don't have to be long tomes. You could write a book of 20,000 words and Amazon is fine with that. So you need to know where you're going with this, the whole picture. And I call that the overall objective.
Yeah.
In the second section, which I call confidence, I talk about confidence in your writing, confidence in your subject, and confidence in your marketing. The truth is, I don't like to talk about marketing too much, although other teachers do up front, because it scares a lot of people. I have found that if I talk about marketing too soon, people will back off and say, you know what, I'm not going to finish this book because I know I'm not going to be able to sell it. So I just let them know that there is a marketing piece. But if you want to focus 100% on just writing the best book right now, we'll talk about marketing down the road. You'll read some books, take some classes, get a marketing coach, whatever you need, but don't let that stop you from writing the book. So in confidence is building confidence in your writing, because you're a first-time author. You don't know if anybody's going to like your writing. You don't know if your writing's good enough. The confidence in your subject, that you chose the right subject, the right niche for that subject. And then confidence in marketing, that you will learn it. It is a learned skill. Nobody's born knowing how to market a book. So you have to have confidence that you're willing to learn it. And the last part is connection. This is really important. I read a lot of books, and I get some books from the library, and if I am not connected right away, I'll send that book right back to the library. So you need
Mm,
to connect with your reader. And in a nonfiction book, it's very simple. You just talk to the reader because you've identified who that reader is. You know what their situation is, their problem, or the reason for buying the book that you're going to address. So the first part of connection is talk to the reader, make that connection with the reader in the book so that they feel welcome. It's almost like you're inviting them into your home. That's what the book introduction is. Say, hey, come on into my book. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am. And let me tell you what you're going to get out of this book. So you want to make that connection. You want to also connect with the reader in the marketplace when you get to that point. And that comes from just knowing who your reader is and doing the work, which I call demographics and psychographics, where you learn as much as you can about your ideal reader. And the third connection is with a team. No writer can write and publish a book alone, even if your minimum team is your copy editor. But
mhm.
I tend to think a copy editor, a cover designer, an interior designer, and even, your web person. You need to have a small team. And then your team can also be your resources, the books that you read or the courses you take. So connecting with your team means building that team that's going to help you with the whole process. I don't think there's a writer out there who will write and publish a book without any support at all.
Yeah.
No one is brilliant at everything. If I could write the book and do the cover design and do the interior design, put it up on Amazon and market it, I'd be
Mm,
some kind of a superhero.
yeah.
And I haven't met anyone who's done all of that together. But if they can, hey, more
Yeah.
power to you. If you're good at all those things, wonderful. But that's why I tell people to build a team. It's just first of all, I'm a copy editor. I won't copy edit my own work.
No.
I can't see things that I've been working on a book for a year and then I'm gonna see every little mistake. Believe me, my book was copy edited at least 10 times.
That makes perfect sense. And I just want to let people know that if you want to get a copy of the book, there is a link in the description. Go grab it there. It is time to write your fabulous first book. There it is. Beautiful. I like the cover too. I could never design my own cover or format my own book. It would just be an absolute mess. I wouldn't even think about it. I can barely write a book, let alone let
No,
alone do all the other pieces.
we can have a talk about that, Melody Ann. We can have
Right. Exactly. So I wanted to just, before we delve into a little bit of the how to build, how to get clarity and how to build confidence and whatnot, I wanted to ask about the promise of the book. I think you've answered this question actually quite deeply, but I just thought I wanted to ask it for like a more succinct, like, if you read this book, you will, right? What's the promise of your book to readers?
Well, I think for me, I want people to feel confident that they could write a book all the way through, that they have everything handled up front, that they got the clarity. Could they know why they're writing and who they're writing for, and they know where they're going with it, and they've dealt with their codes, the challenges, the obstacles, the distractions, and the excuses. And I also add in the fears. They've looked at them in advance. For example, if you know that a distraction is friends popping by unannounced, or family, or your dog, or whatever, you need to look at that up front when you set your writing time aside.
Mm,
So I want people to have the confidence that they have everything they need to make it through, to make the journey from beginning to end without any excuses to stop, any reasons to stop, and that they're going to write the right book for them, and the right book for their audience. So
yeah,
that's the promise. It's a
that's good.
preparation book to make sure that you're confident enough to get through to the end and that you're writing the right book.
That's a really good promise. I think a lot of people have the idea of writing a book in their mind, and there are so many obstacles in their way. Some of them internal, right? The confidence, and some of them external, right? Where do I find the
Exactly.
time? Well, while I still have to walk the dog and go to work and buy groceries and feed the kids and whatever is in their lives, right? So let's delve a little bit into the how-tos. Can we talk a little bit about clarity? Something I often tell authors before they embark on writing a book is figure out how it's going to fit into your life. So I think that's part of clarity. How do authors find that clarity?
Well, there is, like I said, clarity in the 5 areas.
Hmm.
And either this is something that you do on your own, or you can do it with, if you have a writer's group or writer support partner. I've had accountability partners over the years that have been so valuable for me, because I can only see from this way out. I can't see from that way in. So if I'm telling somebody something, they could hear something, maybe my doubts or my uncertainties, they can feed that back to me and maybe offer some suggestions. So the clarity for me was that I want to be a full-time author. I want
Mm,
to be a full-time published author.
yeah.
So you have to be honest with yourself. You have to set, I mean, we all set goals. If you're in business, you set goals. And
Hmm.
one of your goals is to write a book. You have to know why you want to write that book, and you have to set specific goals. For example, I'm going to write one book a year, and I'm going to have my book finished by June 30th, and then I'm going to have it edited and published, the whole thing. You have to set specific goals. So clarity is really about setting goals and knowing where you're going. How is writing a book fitting into your life? And like you said, where does it fit into your life? Do you want to be a full-time author? Do you just want to write one book, one and done? You have this message to give and that's it. You have to be honest with yourself. And if you need some support, I am a book coach. You're a book coach. This is what we do. We would help people, bounce back the ideas and help them have clarity, even if they just needed one session with a book coach to get
Yeah.
that clarity. Or with someone, I belong to 4 writers groups in San Diego where I live, and I meet people through there, and I can communicate with any one of them and say, hey, can we get on Zoom for a half an hour? I have a question. I have an issue
Mm,
I want. So getting clarity is just about being honest with yourself and seeing where writing a book fits into your life. For some people, it might be a business move. They have been doing a service all their life. They've been serving people one-on-one. They could be anything: financial planner, a realtor, a massage therapist, a holistic healer, an executive coach, a speaker, anyone who works with people but doesn't have a product. And maybe they
mm,
would like to have a product in their life. So they're looking at, I can serve more people. If I can serve one on one, maybe I can see 5 people a day. But if I sell a book, write a book and sell a book, I can serve thousands of people.
mm,
You might have a specific message that you want to share, a specific way of doing things. I used to talk to my hairdressers and say, if you could write a book on how to keep your your clients looking good in between hair appointments. If I only see my hairstylist once a month and I don't know how to take care of my hair, I'm not going to be a good walking advertisement to send people to her. So if she wrote a book on how to take care of your hair in between hair appointments, she
yeah.
would be amplifying her business. She would getting people to refer to her because they look good. So every business has an opportunity to expand their message by writing a book. And that's just one way a book can fit into your life if you're a business owner. And I
Yeah.
primarily work with business owners. I have done a few memoirs, and that's fine working with individuals, but I find that business owners are a little bit more motivated to write a book, that what they call sometimes your big business card. Some people
Yeah.
write a book and they give them away as a means of attracting business, saying, hey, look at me, I'm an author. I'm one of 10 realtors who can show everyone the same house, but I'm an author. So that realtor is going to stand out.
Yeah.
And so seeing where a book will fit into your life is definitely a good first step to keep you
Yeah.
motivated.
Yeah. Thank you. I also really liked what you said about writing in community. Like you are involved with four different groups, and when you need something, you can go to people. I find that sometimes when people are thinking of writing a book, they have this image that, book writing is this lonely thing. You find a small corner and get a journal or your laptop and start typing away. And I actually think that might be one of the reasons confidence fails, right? Because you're in this little bubble and you have this view of writing a book as a lonely thing. But I think writing a book in community is actually the way to go about it. Can we talk a little bit about confidence and maybe how community can help you build your confidence?
Well, first, right out of the gate, I would like to say that I wish everyone writing a book could afford a book coach,
Mm,
because that's going to be their immediate community, because that book coach has experience. If you join a writer's group, you could get into trouble if the people don't give you positive critique. I've been in writers groups where I've been critiqued on my subject, and I really should be critiqued on my writing because the people didn't have an affinity to the subject I was writing about. So I left that group. I didn't feel supported. So you have to be really careful where you build that community, that it's positive feedback, that people understand that you need to be supported. And so a book coach is very neutral in terms of
mm,
that uh, that feedback. They're going to give you support and encourage you in ways that will help you become a better writer.
mhm,
So if you could get a book coach, that's your first level of community. The second would be another writer who
mm,
is writing a book maybe at the same time. And I had a client who became a friend, and we would send each other word counts every day. And
nice.
that way we kept each other motivated and kept each other moving. She would say, I wrote 5,000 words today. And I would, email back, I wrote 1,000 words today, whatever it was. Um, so that's another way to build community. Again, you don't want to build too much community that you get distracted, that you get pulled
No.
away. So if you're in a writer's group, it's best to have a small group, maybe 4 to 6 people, nothing bigger than that. And nowadays, of course, they're doing a lot of that online. If you join writers groups, my writers groups are all meeting by Zoom right now. What I would
Mhm,
suggest is picking out 1 or 2 people from the group who are writing in your genre. Right now, I picked out a gal named Pat, and if she's listening, hey Pat, um, she was in a marketing support group that I'm in that meets weekly, and I noticed that we had a lot of similar values, and we had both just published a book. So I reached out to her through the chat and I said, hey, let's have a Zoom meeting. And so now we're supporting each other with accountability when we have an issue that's coming up. We're both working right now on book marketing. But if we both decide to write another book, we could support each other in that way. So I think it's very important who you select to get that support, accountability, whatever you feel is missing from your writing process. And just, if you need to write in a vacuum, that's fine, but don't do it for too long, because you're going to get too close to your writing and you're not going to know if you are doing the right thing, if you're writing the right book. For example, sometimes after you finish your book, before you get it edited, you can send it to beta readers.
mhm,
And I did that. I also sent it to a manuscript review, and I got really scathing remarks from the manuscript
mm,
review. And but they didn't give me reasons. They just said this didn't work, this didn't work, whatever. And then my beta readers were much more constructive. So after I did the beta readers, then I sent it to I made some adjustments, and then I sent it to my copy editor. And after it came back from my copy editor, I made some more adjustments, and then I sent it to my advanced readers. Now the beta readers are the early group, the advanced readers are
mhm.
just before you're getting ready for publishing. But I got more feedback from my advanced readers, and I made some more changes. And then I sent it back to my copy editor again. And then
Yeah,
sometimes you even want to send it to a proofreader. So
yeah,
there will be a lot of people in there, but you have to pick each person very carefully
yeah,
so that you're getting someone who's got the skill, but also is a kind person. I
yeah,
consider myself kind, and I have to be, like we talked before about coaches being therapists, I have
yeah,
to find a way to keep that person feeling good about their writing, good about themselves, and motivated, but tell them the truth about whether
Mhm.
their book is hitting the mark or missing it. And it's only one opinion if I'm the book coach. That's why I encourage people to get beta readers and to get advanced readers. And then when the feedback comes back, again, you have to be very careful on what you take in. If somebody seems to be totally off the mark with how they're addressing what they find in your book, then let it go.
Yeah.
But if two or three or more people comment about the same issue, then you know that that's something you have to address. And that happened for me. There was something I did in my book, I can't remember at this point, that they didn't find that was very effective. And so I took it out.
Hmm.
But then I made sure I had as many advanced readers as I could get because I wanted to. And the other thing is also you want your beta readers and advanced readers to be fairly close to your ideal reader. If
Mhm.
you're writing fiction, you don't want to, nonfiction, you don't want to give it to people who mostly read fiction. You want to find the support of people who do tend to read books like yours so that they could give you the best feedback possible.
Yeah.
The whole thing about this is that you don't want to publish your book and then find out you're getting negative reviews on Amazon because you can't take those down and they lower your rating. So if you have a 5-star rating and then you start getting 4s and 3s and 2s, you have a lower overall rating. And that's difficult when you're doing certain promotion that requires you to have a higher rating. So
Yes.
get as many opinions, but be cautious about who you choose and decide how you want to take the feedback.
Yeah. Oh, really, really good point. And um, I think you make a good point about book coaches. Too bad everyone can't have one. Being gentle and empathic and giving feedback and looking for what you're doing really well is something that a good book coach can help you, figure out, right? Um, and they can certainly help you build that confidence that you need. So yeah, really, really good points. So what else can I do as an author to build my confidence if I'm feeling, I've gone out and I've spoken to other people. Are there other things I can do to build my own confidence as I go through the project? Such a long project.
It depends where we're looking at confidence. Let's just say if it's confidence in your writing.
Sure.
The best way to become a better writer is to be a good reader. The more
Mm,
you read, and if you could read from the standpoint of a writer, then you're reading a little bit differently than you might have before you were a writer. So read in your genre and see what you like and see what you don't like and see what you can use in your own style. Take writing courses. There's tons of writing courses, free or paid, through universities, through online venues, through Udemy. There's all kinds of courses out there. And take a course that requires you to do some homework so you can submit homework and get feedback from the teacher.
mhm.
Um, read books in your genre that have that you can follow the style, but also that may have suggestions how to improve your writing. If somebody reads a book like mine, they're going to get ideas on how to overcome their lack of confidence by improving their writing, by getting other people to read it, by listening to feedback. They'll also understand that they can improve their confidence by learning that confidence comes by doing. So the more you write, maybe don't start out writing your book, write some short articles, write a couple of blog posts. I published a book for a gentleman who sent me newsletters and blogs, and that's all we worked with. So a lot of people will write a blog post, maybe one a week or something, to start getting your writing
Mhm.
muscle toned.
Yep.
Writing is a muscle in effect. So write, read, study, and
Yeah.
do it anyway. You know what they
Yeah.
say, feel the fear and do it anyway?
Yeah.
Anyone
Do
who
it.
builds
Do it.
confidence didn't have it to begin with.
Yeah.
They just decided that they wanted to do something enough that they were willing to start out without the confidence. And the first time you get a glowing review, your confidence is going to go like that. The first time a beta reader or an advanced reader comes back and said, I loved your book. And if you look on my Amazon page, I have about 15 editorial reviews of
Mm-hmm.
people who are in the business who all thought my book was very valuable. So once you get your first review, confidence just comes by doing. It comes
Yeah.
by stepping out of your comfort zone. And every time we step out of our comfort zone, we create a new comfort zone. And we're always going to have a lack of confidence in some area, but we have to have the desire. That's why I start with clarity, because if your desire to write the book, your why is strong enough, you will move past your lack of confidence and build it as you go.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard the story of Barbara Streisand, who was always nervous before she went on stage, but she went
Yeah.
on anyway. And
Yeah.
when she got out there and she was doing her thing, the thing that made her tick, that her love, her passion, her confidence was soaring. The
Yeah.
feedback from the audience. As writers, we get feedback from the audience with the reviews and our advanced reviews and our. I've just been sending out my second book, the workbook, to people to get advanced reviews, and some of them say, "I really have wanted to write a book, and now that I have your workbook, I feel like I'm ready to go because it gives
Yes.
me the ability to." My workbook, I ask questions and people have to put down the answers. So they're actually writing and they're getting clear as they answer the questions that I pose. So when you get feedback like that, your confidence is going to grow. Now, the opposite is you might get negative reviews and your confidence is going to drop. However, everything can be fixed. And that's
Mm.
why we have copy editors and book coaches. If you're
Yeah.
really committed to the idea that you want to write about, and your writing is not good enough or you're all over the place, there are people who can help you. And you have to be willing to, we call it time, energy, and money. You've got to put in the time, energy, and money. That's all there is to it. There's every book is going to cost something. Every book is going to take energy, and every book is going to take time.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
I really liked what you said when the bit of the story when you were telling us about your book and you said you sent it for a manuscript review and you got scathing comments but no constructive criticism. I think that's really important. Sometimes you give your book to someone who you think is an expert and they say negative things about it and you're left feeling just awful, right? Like, I must be terrible. Why am I doing this? I'm wasting my time, and you give up. But the truth is, as you just said, everything has a solution. And so if you take it to somebody else and say, look, I need constructive criticism. I need to know how to build on this. I need to know how to become a better writer, to structure the book better, or whatever it is. I think that's really important. So thank you for letting us know that you received a review, a manuscript review that was not helpful and that could have killed your confidence if you didn't already know you could write, being an award-winning ghostwriter. I think that's a really good message for viewers. Thank you.
It's just like when you send your book out to publishers or agents and you get rejections. And we hear the stories of people, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen got maybe 35 or so rejections on Chicken Soup for the Soul, but it didn't stop them because they really believed in the book. And it's probably one of the best-selling books next to the Bible of all times.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to believe in it. That's why I start with clarity. Your why. Your why is what carries you through all of this stuff that comes up.
Yeah. No,
You have to have a strong enough reason for writing the book, or you're going to be knocked down by whatever comes up,
yeah.
challenges, obstacles, negative reviews. Your why
Yeah.
has to be strong enough. It doesn't mean that your book is going to not go through a lot of incarnations,
Yes.
but the
Yeah.
basic premise of it, you have to believe in it. You just have to believe in yourself and you have to believe in the book. That's
Yeah.
really what it boils down to.
Yeah. And there will be ups and downs, obviously, but having a solid why, which, reminds me that I'm just putting up here, you have a Begin Your Book program. We were talking about this earlier, and I was really curious about that. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about the program. Is this similar to the book, kind of preparing you, or is this actually like the planning and writing? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It's not really about the book because as a coach, I want to be flexible and give people what they need to get their book going. So I had this idea about doing a Begin Your Book program, which is just launching. I'm working on the launch page right now. And the idea is that I want to see results that are going to start somebody going. And the two things I thought were the most important were the title and the table of contents.
Hmm.
once you have a title, you're going to start getting inspired. I know that when I come up with an idea for a book, I go on to Canva or Pixabay or someplace and I get an image and I create this mock cover, and it gives me a sense of where I'm going. And then I put together my table of contents or chapter outline, because I kind of think about the chapter outline as, once you have it there, it's just filling in the blanks. And I mean, obviously it's a lot more than that, but it's structure. And I thrive on structure. So some people don't want to go that way, but for people who feel that they need that, I wanted to create a program where we would get on Zoom for a couple of sessions. We would hammer out the title. It wouldn't be set in concrete, but it would be pretty close to what you need. In a nonfiction, you generally need a catchy title and a descriptive subtitle. The subtitle is often a benefit. It gives a reader a hint of what they're going to get, because the title might be not as clear. It also needs to have keywords. So there's a lot of nuances to creating a title. So we would create a title, we would develop the table of contents, we would create a timeline for the whole journey. This is the book. This is for the beta readers. This is the copy editing. This is the rewrites. This is the advanced readers. This is cover design. This is interior design. This is Amazon. And we would set a timeline. I find that if I move into timelines, it's going to put what I have in my timeline to a higher priority than what's not in my timeline. So if I say I want to finish my book by November 30th, I have to pace myself. And the fourth factor that we're going to come out of these meetings with is a daily schedule of when we're going to write. So let's say we decide that we're going to write every Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight, because maybe you have a day job or family, whatever. The other part of the program is, for 10 weeks, I will have daily accountability emails. So this is a 10-week program for first-time authors, nonfiction authors. They're going to get the title of the book, the table of contents, timeline for the process, and a daily schedule. And then I'll have daily accountability emails. Now, I'm not sure exactly if I'm going to fit in any critiquing in there. The program is still sort of under development, but I want to get people to sign up, and we can manipulate the program as we go, because if we get on Zoom for 2 hours and we knock out the table of contents, then we could do save it for another hour somewhere, because it would basically be 4 or 5 hours of coaching. And if the author wants to use that for critique, the thing is, if they wanted me to copy edit or critique the whole book, that would be a separate structure. But I really feel that that once someone has a title, a table of contents, and their daily accountability, they're off and running. Because those, for me, I know support, structure, and accountability. I call it my SSA. I need support, structure, and accountability. And I can get anything done. I can lose weight. I can reach any goal. I can clear my desk. And once I do that, so Begin Your Book program is, there's some information on that website, and I will be putting up a separate page for it. And it's $1,000 for 10 weeks. And you get a lot of me.
That's excellent. So AndreaSusanGlass.com/programs. It will be in the description. I think that's amazing. Thank you. It sounds like a wonderful program. Andrea, where else can people get a hold of you if they're not, going on the website? Are you on Facebook? Is there any other way people might get in touch with you or learn more about you?
Well, I'm definitely on LinkedIn and Facebook. AndreaSusanGlass.com is my author website. WritersWay.com is my business website, where I offer ghostwriting and copy editing. And I did want to mention, we didn't talk about the book that I just published, the workbook.
Yes, do tell us.
My fabulous first book. It's a workbook companion to your fabulous first book. And what's cool about this is it's fill in the blanks. Here you go.
Cool.
So I ask questions like, who are the people most likely to buy your book?
Yes.
What have you discovered about your best buyer after conducting research? Things like that. What name would you like to give your best buyer? I find that if we sometimes name our ideal reader or a best buyer,
Mm-hmm.
we can talk to them as we write the book. So mine
Yeah.
is Rita, and I wrote the book to Rita because she was a good writer, but she didn't have confidence to write a book. So when I was writing my book, I was thinking about Rita. And
Oh,
so my fabulous first book is a companion, but you don't need the first one.
yeah.
And I do, if you contact me at Andrea Susan Glass at gmail.com, I'm willing to offer either of my books in exchange for a review.
Nice.
Getting book reviews is a way that people have faith in you. They see your book has a lot of reviews and they say, "Oh wow, they like the book. You know, I can like it too." It also helps Amazon believe that you're worth promoting, and Amazon promotes authors that have a lot of reviews, especially good reviews. So I have a fair number of reviews on my first book, but my workbook is available as a PDF. Get it like that
Oh,
way.
wonderful. Yeah.
And so you can contact me at andreasusan.glass at gmail.com. And I'm very happy to exchange my PDF for an honest review, they call it.
Yes, an honest review. I love it. Thank you for telling us about the workbook. I didn't ask you. I forgot about it. So I'm so glad you brought it up.
It's
I
fine.
I love workbooks. I think that workbooks and having you talked about your book having a checklist as well. I think features like that, workbooks, worksheets, checklist. I think they're really valuable in nonfiction books. So you're leading by example, Andrea. Thank you so much.
But one more step in this process is a
Yes.
course, because very often writers have a book, they have a workbook, and they have a course. And that's where
Yes.
I'm going with it. My course
Really
is still in process. It's going to be called Build a Book Blueprint. And
nice.
it's 6 steps. It's the preparation through the writing, through the publishing. And that'll be on my website probably maybe by spring. I don't know. It takes time to develop a course because I've written courses for the University of California, but beyond writing it, then you have to do your slides and your audio and your video and a lot of
Yeah.
things that I'm kind of a low tech gal, so I'm
Yeah.
learning as I'm going. But I feel that as a teacher and writer, when I do a book and I do a course, I'm utilizing my teaching and my writing skills together. And people learn in different ways. That's the thing. People now are putting out ebooks, books, audios, courses. We all learn in different formats. So, I have a ton of books on my Kindle, but I don't read ebooks all that often. I like to take a book to bed or in the backyard or something like that. So, I like to offer my information in many formats, including book coaching, which is live one on one.
Yeah.
So any way that is going to get you to write that book that you want to write, let's face it, if you don't really want to write a book, don't sweat it. You don't
Yeah.
have to write a book. Not everybody has to write a book in this lifetime, you know.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
it's something that's important to you, whether it's personal or business, there's
Yeah.
many, many ways that you can get that support. And I'm happy to do it by books and coaching and classes and just
Yeah.
reach out. And, I also offer a 30-minute complimentary book strategy session. It's also
Okay.
on my website too. And I'm
Perfect.
happy to talk to anybody and help get them on the right path, decide if
Yeah.
it's right for them to move forward or not and what they need. Doesn't have to be me, but I like to talk to people, especially since we have Zoom. God, it's so great. I meet people
Yeah.
all over the country. And
Yeah.
now when I have people I'm going to start working with, I can actually see them and we can decide if we have a connection.
Yeah.
I might not be the right book coach for everyone. So we have to find out if we have that connection. And Zoom, my favorite vehicle.
It is. It is. It's amazing. And I'm excited that you will have a course as well. So I think that's brilliant to go book and workbook and course. I think that's really valuable because, as you said, not everyone goes to or can afford a book coach. So having a course that they can follow is, I think that's a really good offering. Thank you so much, Andrea. I almost called you by your middle name, Andrea. I really, really appreciate your time today, and you have given us so much brilliant information. So thank you for joining me today. And to all the authors out there, you can write with clarity, confidence, and connection. So that is our goal, and you can bring beautiful books into the world, and books that can support you and your business and bring valuable knowledge to your readers. And if you haven't subscribed to Author Nation, please do that, because we have so many more awesome interviews just like this one coming down the line. And I will see everyone next week. We will be talking about sending signals as an author. We'll see you then.
Thank you.